Well, this module sticks out like a sore thumb. Hello there, everyone. My name is Crazy Caleb, and welcome to Netherite. So this is the way the module looks, and it is quite literally exactly what you think it is. This is based off of it's based off of Netherite in this case. So as we can see here, this module is very, very large, and the module itself is actually quite simple how it works. So what we need to do is we're going to be pressing a series of specific points on this module based off of one of these grids down below, and this is going to be based off of a couple of simple calculations. So let's get right into this. So the first things first is that we need to know what sequence we're going to be working with here. We're going to get a sequence of numbers, and we're going to have 11 digits that we're going to get. So that means we're going to be doing 11 presses to essentially get rid of this nether on the bottom. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's take a look and see what we need to do. So the first step here, we need to create a sequence of numbers, and this is going to be referring to the first number is the amount of other solved netherites plus 1. So in this case, what this actually means is that there are going to be netherites that essentially will be referring to each other. So in this case, if we happen to solve the first one, the second sequence is not going to be the exact same, that's for sure. Of course, this is only going to be reflecting the changing the first number in this case, because if we happen to solve another netherite, it's only going to be plus 1, because the second step is all of the numbers are the serial number digits from left to right. Those will never change. So, and we're going to be repeating this sequence over and over and cut it off until after 11 digits. So let's take a look. So we haven't solved actually any netherites at all on this block. That's going to be just simply a plus 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. And that's going to be our first number in the sequence. And the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve the numbers from the serial number, and this can include zeros, by the way. So in this case, we're going to do 177. So 177, 177. And now what we're going to do is with these numbers that we've gotten here, we're going to essentially repeat this sequence over and over until we have 11 digits. So we have 1177, 1177, and in this case, we happen to cut it off right here, just like that. So now we have 11 digits. So what exactly are we going to be doing with this information? So first things first, before we get into that, we need to find the grid that we're going to be working with here, which is going to be one of these statements, which is going to be one of these grids here, based off of the two statements that we have here. Our first being the row, and our second being the column. So now, this is going to be essentially revolved around, essentially, if you're using a modded widget called voltage meter, which I am not in this instance, it really does not matter. Most people generally tend to not have voltage meter on. This is sort of a modded thing that just doesn't exist. So we're going to be focusing solely on the purpose of these rules without the voltage meter. So we're going to be going through these two truth conditions, and if it happens to be one of these truth conditions, if it happens to be true, or if it happens to be false, it will be marked that way respectively. So if the serial number or the sum of the serial number digits contain a digit matching the number of lit indicators. Well, first things first, how many lit indicators do we have on the bomb? In this case, we have one lit indicator. So now, if we take a look, if the serial number or the sum of the serial number digits contain a digit matching the number of lit indicators, the first rule is true. This first rule is indeed true because of the fact that we have a 1 currently right now in the serial number. So in this case, we have a number matching the amount of lit indicators that we currently have. So our first rule is going to be true. So we're going to mark this as our first rule being true. So that is our row determined right now. So now, for the second rule, if the serial number or the sum of the serial number digits contain a digit matching the number of unlit indicators, the second rule is true. So in this case, we have 2 unlit indicators. We don't have a 2 in the serial number normally, but what happens if we sum these guys up? So let's do that. So let's pop out our handy dandy calculator here. So we have a 1 plus 1 plus 7 plus 7. In this case, is going to give us a 15. 15, it does not have a 2 present in it anywhere, so we are simply going to say that rule is false. So our second rule is going to be false. So this means that this is going to be the table that we're looking at here. So now we have our grid. So what exactly are we going to be doing for the submission phase? So the submission phase is going to be taking a look like this. So we're going to create the first crack by pressing the cell at step 2 that matches the first digit of the sequence from step 1. Okay, our first in the sequence is going to be a 1. Let's hit that. Just like that. That means we're in a good position right now. Because that means if we were to press 1 at any other position, if we were to press 1 right here, and if it happened to be any of the other grids, that would mean that it's immediately wrong. It's essentially the same grid, in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but it's essentially rotated in some way, shape, or form. It's a little bit interesting, as you can see with some of these guys, but it's pretty straightforward to what it asks you to do. So let's take a look. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, so we've done our first crack, and what happens is that we need to essentially, what we're going to do is if the number happens to be greater than 9 for some reason, we're going to subtract 9 until it isn't, and then from there, we're going to press the previous cell that matches the sum of the next digit in the sequence and all previous digits on the sequence. And if the number is greater than 9, we're going to subtract 9 until it isn't. So this is where things get a little bit interesting. And all you simply need to do is you essentially need to take the button press you pressed last, in this case we pressed 1, and we're simply going to add on the next number in the sequence. In this case, 1 plus 1 is going to be a 2. That is going to be the next button we're going to press right here. So in this case, the next button we're going to press is a 2. That's good. Then we're going to do the same thing with the 7. The 7 is going to be adding, a 7 plus 2 is going to be a 9. That's going to be down in the bottom left. Then we're going to be adding another 7. Now, it will be greater than 9, so we're going to subtract 9, giving us 0, and then we're going to add the 7. Then that's going to be down in the bottom right. Then we're going to add 1, and hopefully you understand where this is going. Then we're going to hit 8. Then we're going to add 1. This is going to be a 9 down here. Then we're going to add 7. This is going to result in a 7. Then we're going to add 7 again. That's going to give us a 14. Minus this by 9 is going to be a 5. We're going to do 5. Then we're going to add 1 to give us 6. We're going to add another 1 to give us a 7 right down here. We're going to add, finally, this should be our last press, we're going to add 7 to 7, which is going to give us a 14. Moduloing this by 9 is going to give us a 5. If we hit 5, the module solves, the entire block of netherite disappears, and just like that is a solved module. That is all you are doing with this module. It is a very, very, very straightforward module. In most cases, more often than not, you're going to have netherites that are just simply going to be the one module on the bomb. But that is essentially all you are doing with this module. It is a very straightforward module. It does not ask much for you, and it's quite fun. I actually quite enjoy it a lot. Another thing to note, if there happens to be multiple netherites on the bomb, if there's another netherite on the bomb which is partially cracked, you cannot crack any other netherites until that block is fully cracked. So you have to essentially do the module one by one. You cannot cheese it and essentially do the 2 modules at the same time. You have to focus on one individual one. Otherwise, it will strike you. And if you happen to press an incorrect cell, it does not completely reset. Keep that in mind. A strike is given, however, it still cracks the block, meaning that the mistake shouldn't be corrected, and proceed as if it was correct. So to keep that in mind, the module does not reset if you happen to get a wrong answer for some reason, and if you happen to get a wrong answer, continue on as normal. But always correct your mistake, but don't input it into the module. So let's take a look at one final example. This module, as I said, is pretty straightforward. So, oops, I believe I have seeds on. I did not mean to have that on. Sorry about that. Let me fix that real quick. But yeah, this module is it's as simple as that. It unfortunately does not have a status light, which means if you happen to have perspective pegs on here, good luck. Either that or get it out of the way. So let me fix this real quick. Of course, I have it on the funny number because why wouldn't I? -1. Okay. So now let's take a look. I did not mean to have that. I did that for another module earlier. I was trying to just find something good for me as a way of practicing, and I did. So let's take a look. Now we know for a fact that our first number is always going to be 1 because this is the only netherite on the bomb, so we can simply mark that down with a 1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get the serial number digits that are currently in the serial number. In this case, that's going to be a 2 and 2, so 2 2. Then we're going to do 1 2 2 1 2 2 1 2 2, and we're going to cut off everything that is after the 11th digit. So we have 11 digits right here. Pretty straightforward sequence. And now we're going to take a look at the grid here. So if the serial number or the sum of the serial number digits matches the amount of lit indicators or unlit indicators, we're going to determine those rules are true. So let's take a look. So we currently have 2 unlit indicators, and we have currently a 0 lit indicators. So we know for a fact that the lit indicators is going to be false. We don't have the ability to do a 0 in this case, because 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and we don't have any 0 in the serial number, so this is not going to work. So the first rule is going to be false. The second rule, however, we happen to have 2 unlit indicators. There's a 2 in the serial number, so this is going to be true. And this is going to be the grid that we're looking at this time. So, good. So let's take a look now. So now we're going to start at the 1. We're going to start at the first number in our sequence here, which is 1. And now, with the next numbers in the sequence, we're essentially going to add on to this. We started with 1. We're going to add 2 to give us 3. We're going to get 3. We're going to add 3. We're going to add 2 to the 3, which is going to give us a 5. We're going to add 1 to the 5, which is going to give us a 6. We're going to add 2, which is going to give us 8. We're going to add 2, which is going to give us a 10. Subtracting 9 is going to give us a 1. So we're down back to 1. We're going to add 1, which is going to give us a 2. We're going to add 2, which is going to give us a 4. Then we're going to add 4, which is going to give us a 6. 4, 6. And then finally, we're going to do one more, being a 7. And then we're going to do, lastly, our last 2 being a 9. This should solve the module. And just like that, there you go. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.